everyone, welcome to Watercolor Wednesday. I'm Bonnie Krebs, creator of Watercolor the Art Impressions Way, and this week's project is a little mini watercolor. I know these are all really small projects, but it's really fun to do a really tiny one. This is about a 3 by 3 inch frame, and I've done a little painting that fits right inside. It's so cute, and again, super quick and easy. So I'm going to show you how to do this. So what I've used is some elements from the Series 7 set, and actually what I've done is take this little kitty off of the bench. So the nice thing about using rubber stamps is that you can use the parts of the stamp that you want. So I'm not using the bench at all, I'm just using this little cat that's in the center. In addition to that set, I'm also going to need a few things from the Flowers and Foliage set. So I'm going to use my little daisy bunch, just a few of these, so we're only going to ink just a few of these. And then in addition, the grass, the small grass, the vine, and then I'm also going to use a couple of vines from this set. This is the spring basket, and I'm going to use these two vines that are in here. Okay, so let's get started. And since I'm using, I'm doing a small little painting that fits inside the frame, I'm going to use tape to kind of block this off. So what I've done is I made a square that's the actual opening of the frame, and I wanted to show a white edge along the side. So I've made some dots, and I've just used a ruler and made a couple of dots about 1/4 of an inch in on 3 sides. And then on the bottom, so that we can do this really cute little border, I've left 1 inch. So I'm going to just use my masking tape now and just tear this off and block out this area. So just place it on here like that. You can draw a line to make sure it's straight, but I usually eyeball everything. So it's usually fairly straight. So I'm just going to cover this area with my tape and just block this off. Okay, so we've got a little opening right here that we can do our painting. Okay, so we're going to start with the little cat that's on the bench. And like I said before, we're not going to use the whole bench, we're just going to ink the cat, and I want to make the cat a gray. So in order to do that, I'm going to start with the number 86 African Violet, and I'm just going to ink this area here, just right where the little cat is. And I don't want this too dark, so I'm going to stamp it off. So I'm just using another piece of paper. You don't need to use watercolor paper, you can just use any paper. And then I'm going to ink it again with a sepia. And don't worry if you get a few lines in from the bench, we can blend that out. Or you can just take your thumb like I do and just wipe some of that color off. Now I have used a positioner. So I have a little L square because I want to make sure that this little kitty is in the center and more towards the bottom. So place that back in here. And I'm going to stamp this little image right here. Okay, there we go. That's the beginning. So now our first step is to pull the color out of the lines. So we're going to dip our brush. And you see these little lines on here? I did get a few of the lines from the bench, but that's okay. We could just blend that out. No problem. And this blue and sepia kind of has a lot of pigment, so be careful that you don't get too much color out of here. If you find that your brush is picking up too much color and it's too dark, just rinse it off and pinch it off again. And we want this little guy gray, so we're going to get some color on here. But make sure you leave a highlight. Don't color everything in solid. Really try to avoid doing that. We want to show some highlights on here. So just try to get just all those little tiny areas. Okay, just like that. We're ready to move on to the next step. So I'm going to add my little grass now. And I'm using the number 15. And I'm going to use the little mini grass from the foliage set. If you've watched any videos, you see that I probably use this in every single one, but it just works so well. We're just going to put him in the grass. He's taking a little nap out in the sunny meadow. So cute. I love these little tiny frames. They make such great gifts. They're so fun and easy to do. Okay, so we've got our grass in there now. We're ready to move on. This little guy is getting dry now, so I had quite a bit of water on him. So I'm going to take my sepia now and just put a little color on my palette. And if you want to, you can mix a little blue with it just to make sure that it's really gray. In fact, maybe I'll do that, just put a little blue. The other nice thing about a palette is that you can mix color. So if you don't have the perfect marker, you just make it. So we're going to make some lines in here. Make him look like a little tabby. Just a few. Remember, watercolor is the idea of things. So don't stress out over details. We've got him all tucked away in the grass. Let's add a little color in here. Make sure that's really dark. And don't be afraid to use your fine point. I say this a lot too, but I use my fine tip a lot just to get detail. Okay, we've got our little guy in there. So now let's move on to the foliage. This is the easy part because we sure know how to stamp a vine and flowers. Okay, so we're going to use the vine. And we're kind of looking at him through the foliage. So we're going to make sure that our foliage goes down to the bottom of the image. Okay, so down in here. Add a little more in here. Like so. And then we just add water. So I've stamped this in here a few times to make sure we get that watercolor three-dimensional look. But this is a tiny, tiny little painting, so we don't need to get too many vines in here. Bring that color all the way down because you want to see that this is a square. Okay, so let's add our flowers in here now. So we're going to use the little daisy bunch, and we're not going to ink them all. We're just going to ink a few. So let me grab that, and we're just going to ink a couple of these. So let me grab this is number 29 Prussian blue. So I'm just going to ink a couple, 2 or 3 of these little flowers, and we're going to stamp it still in a sequence of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a circle. Ink just a couple. Put a few more in. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just count it out. And maybe a few more in here. Okay, so let's add our water. And with these little paints, if you notice that it's too much ink on here and the color is too dark, just clean your brush off. Just dip it in the water and pinch it off again to make sure you're not getting too much blue. Some of these markers are so vivid and they have so much pigment in them. The colors can get really, really dark. See, drag that color all the way over so that you can see that white border. It's all protected with this tape, so nothing's gonna bleed through. Okay, we got our little flowers in here. We can take some of this blue now. I'm just gonna put a little bit on my palette. And I'm gonna just brush in a little sky up above. Not too dark. Start out light because you can always go darker. Just put a little bit in here out just above this little guy. Just brush this all in. You can brush a little bit down under here. Okay, so now we're getting ready to put our overhang in. So we're going to use these little vines. There's a right and a left, which is really, really nice. That's in this set. So I'm going to ink those now with the 72. And I'm just going to hang it over. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'll take the other one and do the other side. This one on here. So ink it again. Start over here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Dip your brush and just get all the leaves. Some of them are going to be really light. Get those too. That's how we get that three-dimensional look. Looks like it's all coming together here. See how quick and easy these are? So fun. Let's put a little more blue up in here, just so that we can really see that this is a border. Okay, brush that all in. Okay, so let's move on now. Let's take this bottom part off so that we can see that we have exposed now the bottom part. So we want to put in this little vine. See this little border down in here? So cute. And that's just the vine and the little filler flower again. So we're just going to stamp that a couple of times. Don't stress out about this. Actually, let's use that. Let's use our number 72 again. So we're going to stamp it in here a couple of times. Back the other way. And add a little water to that. Just a little bit. Make sure you pinch your brush off because you don't need much water at all. Not with these tiny little paintings. They're so fun to do. Makes such a great gift, and you can find these little frames all over the place. Okay, so let's add our little flowers. Again, the 29 Prussian blue, and ink just a couple. And another one over here. Add some water to it. There we go. And that looks pretty good. I want to sign and date. And reveal our little painting. Take the tape off, and you have your little painting all ready to frame. Just cut along the pencil lines, and it's all ready to go. And there you have it, our project for this week. Hope to see you again next week, and thanks so much for watching.